In this module, we will look at block of code or code block. The objective is to learn what a block of code means, how and when to use it, how does its execution compare with a single line of code when used with control statements. Two or more statements within open and closed curly braces represent a block of code or code block. Code block represents a logical unit that can be used at any place where a single statement can be used. For example, a block of code can be a target for a if and for control statements. Below table provides examples of control statements without code block and control statements with code block. In the first case, we use a if control statement which checks for a condition x less than y. So in this case, if x is less than y, the print statement x is less than y gets executed. On the right side with the code block, we use the same if control statement which compares x with y. So in this case, if x is less than y, both these print statements will get executed. The for control statement iterates through the values of x and prints their values starting from 0 to 4. This is using a single statement without the code block. And on the right, we have the same for control statement with the block of code, which has 3 statements that need to be executed on each iteration of the for loop. So in this case, for the values of x from 0 to 4, all the 3 statements will get executed. So all the statements within the for loop will get executed. So whenever we need to logically link 2 or more statements, we should be creating a code block. Now let's look at how the block of code gets executed for each iteration. And if we remove the block of code and simply place them one after the other as single statements after the for loop, how does it compare with the execution of the code block? Now I have a small program, a class example2, which has a main method, and I have the same block of code that we saw in the previous slide. So in this case, y is initialized to 10. We have a for loop which starts with x as the loop control variable initialized with 0, and this will run for x is 0, x is equal to 1 till x is equal to 4. Let's quickly run this program. So if you see in the output, we see the values of x and y, and the loop continues to iterate till x is equal to 4. So all the 3 statements within the for loop get executed, because this block of code will be treated as a single unit of code for the entire for loop. Now let's see what happens if I take out the curly braces which represent the code block. Let's run this program. In this case, we see that the value of x from 0 to 4 gets printed, and then finally the value of y gets printed. So what this means is only the first statement will be executed for each iteration of the for loop. And once the for loop has completed all its iterations, the next lines of code get executed. To summarize, we have learned that a block of code is wrapped inside open and closed curly braces. The block of code is used when 2 or more statements need to be grouped together for execution. A single line of code need not be wrapped inside open closed braces. If such a line of code follows a control statement, only that line gets executed. The subsequent lines will not get executed, as we have seen in the example.